Deep within Murray's costume manor, there is a basement level 2. And within this basement level, there are what Edwin refers to as tunnels.
Attention all personnel. The power surges have become more frequent. Please use extreme caution when venturing down into the tunnels.
Now, this wouldn't be too much of a concern. I mean, a lot of facilities go deep underground to store things and other stuff like that. However, something lurks down here, and this thing is unlike anything Arnold has seen already. The White Tiger is probably one of the most mysterious things in Secret of the Mimic. I mean, the way this thing acts, the way it moves, and all the lore surrounding the character, it really brings up a lot of speculation within the FNAF theorist community. And so, I'm here to give my own take on things. I have a few ideas of what I think it could be, however I'm going to settle on one. It's pretty complicated, but that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to explain what I think this thing is. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Now, the first thing I want to bring up when it comes to this theory is actually the fourth closet. Now, this is a weird thing to be jumping to, considering it's the fourth closet and we're talking about Secret of the Mimic. What possible answers could we get from the fourth closet? Within the original Mimic story, Edwin goes through a great amount of loss. He loses his wife and then he loses his kid. However, he loses his kid after making the M2 program in Secret of the Mimic. In the original story, there was only one program. So, what am I trying to make of all of this? In the fourth closet, they talk more about the Ella doll, which pops up in the movie, in Fazbear Frights. It's all over the place, it's everywhere but the games, which is kind of funny. Actually, no, it was in Security Breach, I think, as like a reference on an arcade machine. So the Ella doll's in the games. It's weird. But main thing being, when Henry was going through his loss of Charlie, he mourned over the Ella doll. Now, I don't think there's anything specifying within the game that Edwin did the same with the Tiger Rock plush, however, we can't throw that option out the window just yet. However, it does specify in the story that David and the Mimic were fighting over David's White Tiger doll. So the possibility of Edwin mourning over, of course, David's loss and doing that, in a similar fashion with Edwin and the Ella doll, except not going to the extremes of making robot children. So I don't think it's fully out of the question to presume that Edwin did something similar. Which then leads me to my next point, Remnant. Now, Remnant and Possession are two different things within the FNAF universe. They're closely connected, however they're not the same. Possession is a full spirit possessing something, their soul locked onto an object, and Remnant is more or less the memory of what was connected to an object, what was left behind from a spirit, as explained in Fazbear Frights. So it is totally possible that Edwin forced Remnant to be connected to the White Tiger doll. So how does this connect to what we see in the basement level 2 of MCM facility? Well, that's part of the answer. What we next have to explain is everything else. Before we jump into this section, let's take a look at the White Tiger's behavior within basement level 2. It teleports around, like it literally has the ability to teleport. It's not a trick of the eye, because even in basement level 2, it's teleporting around trying to catch you. And if we jump to, let's say, the theater room, the pre-show room, you can see that literally teleport in the blink of an eye. And it prefers to do this when the player's in the dark. And another thing the White Tiger can do is stand still and stare at the player, which anything can do in this building. However, when looked at, it causes visions and hallucinations to Arnold, which is not something the Mimic could do. And also, not to mention, it's aggressive towards the player. It very much wants the player dead. So, if the White Tiger in the basement is projecting off the plush somehow, 1, how is it doing it? And 2, why would Remnant be doing it of all things? Well, here is where Agony comes in. Now, let me take this quick moment to explain what Agony actually is. I already talked about Remnant, but Agony is basically not necessarily a polar opposite, but it's kind of an opposite to a degree, where it's a pure, it's just fully just negative emotion. It is fear, anger, sadness, all that just in one substance that can be harnessed, basically. because we see this with Eleanor using Agony and all this stuff. It's a whole mess in the books, but one instance I want to bring up of Agony is when it takes a form of something. So basically, how Agony takes forms is that it takes a form of something the Agony's connected to, or like how it's made. So in Bunny Call, when the strange appearance at night with Ralpho shows up, it's not one of the employees, it's rather an Agony monster taking a hold of the suit to use to try and, possibly hurt a lot of people. And this is just one example of Agony taking the form of something that it's connected to. Now, I could say that the White Tiger is just a full-blown Agony monster, but the weird thing is that with Ralpho, the Agony monster is using a suit. Now, it would be very weird for Murray to have made a full, life-sized White Tiger that is a one-to-one match with the plush. So, with this in mind, let's go ahead and discuss Agony in the MCM facility. Now, we know for certain there is Agony within the MCM facility. We have Edwin's rage towards M2 and the loss of his family and everything like that. We have all of the recovery teams dying within the MCM facility, specifically Team 12, because that's the only one we see. And most notably, Jackie begins to bleed Agony near the end of their chase sequence. I'll throw it up on screen here, but you can see that on their eyes there is this black substance coming out of their eyes, which is exactly what is explained how Agony shows up. It is a very similar fashion when a human bleeds Agony. So we know Agony is within the MCM facility, and quite a lot of it considering Jackie is bleeding it. And when enough Agony is built up, it forms into something. Anything that is tied to what Agony is being made. So, what if the White Tiger's a mix of both Remnant and Agony? So when you think about it, if the White Tiger in the basement is a Agony monster, why does it look one-to-one to the plush that David had? It has to be connected to it in some way. Almost like there's both David's Remnant on the plush and also Agony on the plush. Not necessarily from David, but from everything that's going on within the facility latching onto the plush. And then, tied with everything else going on within the facility, you eventually have enough Agony built up to make a full-blown, human-sized version of the plush. Because if the behavior of the White Tiger is to go off of anything here, you also have Shadow Bonnie in Special Delivery. It's able to teleport, and the player has to ward it off using light, so it does not. Agony creatures tend to not like the light, as we see within the games. Granted, this thing stands under lights at times, but it prefers to attack within the dark. And one other thing to note about the White Tiger thing in the basement is that it mimics David's voice, and only David's voice. Sure, it uses lines that we heard throughout the game already, but it's using it only in David's voice, which has me think that there's some remnants tied to this plush along with Agony, and with Agony usually taking a form of what it's connected to, the White Tiger seems to be a very plausible form for it to take. And mix that with Remnant, and maybe, depending on how Remnant works within the games, it's able to look exactly like the plush. And that's gonna wrap it up for today's theory. It's a little bit out there, I gotta admit. It's very confusing, and it definitely relies on some what-ifs. But I genuinely think it could be a possible explanation to what the White Tiger is within the basement. Sure, if you remove the idea of the remnants connected to the plush and just made it's a full Agony monster, Edwin had a suit, that's also very plausible. I'm just throwing an idea out there that may or may not be true. It could be completely wrong, but that's the fun about theories. Sometimes you're gonna hit, sometimes you're gonna miss. So, it's all fun of the process. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any thoughts on what you think the White Tiger is, consider leaving them down in the comments. I'll be sure to check them out. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more theories like this. And with that being said, I'll see you all next time.